On the unforgiving slopes of Mount Everest, there's a tale whispered only among the most experienced climbers, a legend so chilling that few dare speak of it above base camp. It begins with a climber named Malik, who vanished without a trace during an ascent 5 years ago. His story is etched into the mountain's ice and snow, passed on as a warning to those who dare to climb the world's tallest peak. Malik had been a seasoned mountaineer, obsessed with Everest since his youth. He had already summited some of the world's most dangerous mountains, but Everest was his ultimate goal. In 2019, he set out on a solo expedition, determined to conquer the mountain on his terms. Though many advised against it, he ignored their concerns, confident in his abilities. The climb began like any other. He moved swiftly, the air thinning as he ascended, the weather growing more erratic and dangerous. By the time he reached Camp 4, the final stop before the summit push, Malik had already faced brutal winds, treacherous ice, and an unrelenting chill. Yet something strange had begun to gnaw at him. A persistent whisper, barely audible beneath the howling wind, seemed to call his name. He chalked it up to fatigue, brushing the sound off as the tricks of altitude sickness. But the closer Malik got to the summit, the louder the voice became. It was soft, almost melodic, calling to him like a lullaby. Malik, Malik, come closer. At first it soothed him, filling him with a strange sense of comfort. It told him that the summit was just ahead, just beyond the next ridge. But with Iadep, the world around him grew more disorienting. The snow-covered ridges began to twist and shift in impossible ways. The stars above seemed to swirl and merge with the storm clouds, and the mountain seemed to breathe beneath his feet. Then just past the balcony, a treacherous narrow ledge where many had lost their lives, Malik saw her. A woman, ethereal and ghostly, standing alone on the edge of a cliff. Her hair, long and flowing, billowed in the wind like smoke, and her eyes glowed with an unnatural light. She was dressed in old tattered climbing gear from decades past, a forgotten relic of one of the many lost expeditions that had perished on the mountain. "Come," she whispered again, her voice floating through the icy air like a lullaby. "You're so close. You must be tired." Malik felt an overwhelming urge to follow her. His legs, heavy with exhaustion, moved on their own as if pulled by some unseen force. The woman stepped backward, gliding gracefully over the snow, always just out of reach. Her voice promised rest, warmth, and peace. Everything a weary climber could crave in such a brutal landscape. As Malik followed her deeper into the mountain's death zone, time seemed to warp. The howling wind quieted, replaced by an eerie silence, and the biting cold faded away, replaced by a strange warmth. The woman's face shifted, becoming softer, more familiar, like someone he knew long ago but couldn't quite place. He felt at peace, lulled into a sense of security, as if he were slipping into a dream. But then, a crack of ice beneath his feet snapped him back to reality. Malik froze, blinking away the haze that clouded his vision. He looked around and realized he had wandered far off the trail, to a part of the mountain no one ever ventured. Below him, the ground was a graveyard of bones, old climbing gear, skeletal remains, and tattered flags fluttering in the wind. The woman, still smiling, now hovered above the bodies, her form shimmering like mist. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice turning darker, her eyes now glowing with a sinister hunger. "Rest. You've earned it." Malik's blood ran cold as the truth hit him. This was no ordinary spirit. The woman was the collector, a being older than the mountain itself, luring climbers into her trap, offering them eternal sleep in exchange for their souls. Those who succumbed to her lullaby never left. Their bodies remained on Everest, frozen and forgotten, while their souls were consumed, trapped forever in the mountain's icy grip. He could feel her pulling at him, tugging at his very essence. His limbs grew heavy, his vision dimmed, but somewhere deep inside, Malik fought back. With a surge of adrenaline, he broke free from the trance, stumbling backward through the snow. The woman's face twisted into a grotesque mask of rage, her soothing voice now a piercing scream that echoed across the mountainside. "Run all you want," she hissed. "The mountain is mine, and so are you." Malik turned and fled, his heart pounding in his chest as the storm closed in around him. He could hear the wails of lost souls rising from the snow, their voices merging with the wind as they pleaded for release. But Malik didn't stop. He pushed through the blinding snow, the icy wind cutting into his skin, until finally he collapsed just short of Camp 4, his body nearly frozen. The search party found him the next day, barely alive. Malik survived, but he never spoke of what happened on the mountain. When they pressed him for details, he would only say, "She's still there, waiting." To this day, climbers whisper about the spirit that haunts the death zone of Everest, the collector who lures the weary into eternal sleep. Some say you can hear her voice in the wind if you listen closely, a soft, haunting lullaby calling your name, promising rest, warmth, and peace. But those who follow her voice never return. Their bodies remain on the mountain, frozen in time, while their souls are lost forever. And so the mountain grows heavier with every passing year, as the collector patiently waits for her next soul to claim.